Hey Discoverers! Last week, Ellie and I posted a great video about the Amalfi Coast, and that was part 1 of a road trip series in Italy. Oh, but we did forget to mention one important detail from Ravello, but stay tuned because we're going to be covering that point in today's video. And after Amalfi, we still had 10 days ahead of us, so we followed Ellie's family to the Puglia region for a wedding and for more discoveries. By comparison to the Amalfi Coast, the south is way more relaxed and easier to drive. But if you've never driven here before, you'll benefit from the tips we'll mention today. So stay tuned for the Puglia region. We're going to share driving tips as well as share amazing places you can discover in this region. At this point, you might be wondering, what is there to see in Puglia? Is it even worth it? Also, how do I get there? And do I really need a car to get around? So let's go ahead and answer these questions right away. Believe me, going to Puglia is totally worth it, and we'll show you some visuals to prove it. If you're stationed in Rome, you'll be able to do a day trip to the Amalfi Coast. But you won't be able to do one for the Puglia region because it's too far. Tours do exist to the Puglia region, but they only exist as multi-day packages, from 5 to 12 days. The catch is nearly all of them put you on a high-speed train to Bari. Then you'll navigate on a coach between towns. You never drive, but you also never stop exactly where you want. But these multi-day tours is not really our style of travel anyways. And if you're still wondering, is it chaotic to drive in the Puglia region? It's totally not. The south is way more relaxed. Here are 4 different ways you can get to the Puglia region from Rome. Number 1 is the train. From Rome to Bari takes roughly 5 to 6 hours. Fares can start very low if you book it early. For pricing, you're looking in the realm of $80 to $100 each way. Double check our Omio affiliate link for a more accurate idea of pricing. Alternatively, you can take a bus to get to this region. It'll be a little bit cheaper, but it'll also take a little longer. You're looking at anywhere between 7 to 8 hours. For that, Omio also has you covered, because they take care of buses, trains, and ferries. Third, you can grab a flight from Rome to Bari or Brindisi. You're looking at under an hour to get there, but the airport time eats away the savings. Flying could make sense if it's part of a multi-city trip. Ellie and I have been booking multi-city trips for over a decade, and it's saved us a lot of time and money. If you're not familiar with these multi-city trips, then let us know about it. I can always do a video about it in the future. And lastly, you can drive to the Puglia region from Rome. You can do a similar itinerary as we did, stopping in places like Naples, Pompeii, and Amalfi. Or you can drive all the way to Bari if you like. A straight shot drive, you're looking at 4.5 hours. Or if you want to go a little bit deeper like Lecce, you're looking at 5.5 hours. Ellie found this wonderful tool online called Toll Guru. So forecasting for tolls and fuel, you're looking at roughly $150 each way. This is especially worth it if you're traveling as part of a group or family, because then you can split the cost. And leaving from Rome is also cool because you can stop along the way. Rome is such a busy and chaotic city. Parking can be scarce, and you might not have authorization to drive in each neighborhood. Which is why we recommend that you rent your car once you're ready to leave Rome. And although there are the buses and trains and flight options to get to Puglia, you'll need a car to get around this region once you get there. So we only recommend you taking those other methods of transportation if you already have a ride waiting for you at the other end. The honest verdict for us was that we needed a car to meet up with Ellie's family in Amalfi and then drive all the way to Puglia. And alternatively, the smart hybrid travel solution could be to use the train or fly to Bari, then rent a car once you get there. Because a car is close to essential once you're in Puglia. And it can especially make sense if you're not planning to visit the Amalfi Coast. In the end, you'll plan your trip to Puglia in the way that it makes sense for you. But do keep in mind that the Puglia region is much smaller, so sometimes finding a car in that region might be a little bit more limited and restricted than, say, in Rome. Our personal take is that after the chaotic drive in Amalfi, driving in Puglia was such a breeze. You're looking at flat, open roads, light traffic outside the cities, in general, good road conditions, and parking here is rarely a fight. Most towns have lots on the edge, which means a 5 to 10 minute walk to the city center. Which really makes sense because you get to see the city unfolding as you're getting there. Surely you don't have the slalom roads and the sharp turns and the buses coming head-on on a narrow road, but you'll find these tips interesting. For starters, a lot of these towns have what they call ZTL zones. That stands for Zona Traffico Limitato, which means they restrict traffic for locals in the historic centers. Drive there by accident, and you'll get a fine in the mail months later. So your best bet is to park outside and then make your way in on foot. Oh, and this is the tip that we forgot to mention for Ravello. We forgot to mention it in last week's video, but we did point it out in our specific Ravello vlog. Just know that you'll have to park your car before entering the city center. Leaving your car behind, you'll be able to hop into a shuttle van which will take you to the city center. This is because Ravello is such a small town that it wouldn't be able to handle all the visitors otherwise. Next, don't trust the GPS 100% of the time. And you might be wondering, Serge, how do I get to my destination if I can't trust the GPS? Let me explain. Google Maps is a very sophisticated tool, but it's not perfect and occasionally can provide routes that are incorrect or outdated. And it's especially important to be aware of this when driving in historic cities with ZTL zones. ZTL rules can change frequently. While Google works hard to keep information up to date, there might be a delay in reflecting those changes on the map. Back then, we didn't have ChatGPT, which brings me to another important point. Making sure that you have fast and reliable eSIM. We usually use Holofly, which gave us fast and reliable internet for our GPS navigation. Back then, ChatGPT had not officially launched, but with this handy tool today, we'd ask it to decode parking signs, translate menus, and allow it to teach us more Italian words. A good example here is when we discovered the famous bridge in Gravina in Puglia. Sadly, the bridge was closed for renovations, but we got confused about parking signs. Luckily, we bumped into this old man who spoke no English, but seemed to tell us that it was okay for us to park here for free. But today, we take a picture of the parking sign, send it to ChatGPT and ask it, can you translate and decode the sign to see if we're allowed to park here? Here's another pointer in case you're looking forward to renting a larger vehicle. Don't do it. Don't over-rent the car, especially if you're planning to stop over in Amalfi. Having a small car in this region is much easier to get around. The other thing to look out for is planning around for fuel and the siesta. Now, this wasn't an issue for us, but smaller town rental desks and some stations might close midday, so be sure to plan around it. And lastly, here's a heads up about tolls. We recall paying one between our trip from Rome all the way to Bari. In case you have any doubts, go ahead and use that platform I talked about earlier called Toll Guru. It'll give you a forecast for gas and tolls. And another reason to need a car to get around here is that generally people look out to stay in these Masserias. They're popular here because they offer an authentic, luxurious, and immersive way to experience the region's agricultural heritage. Originally built over centuries ago by noble landowners, most have been masterfully restored into boutique hotels, agritourism, and high-end retreats. Some of them are still active farms, offering farm-to-table dining, while others demonstrate historical authenticity. Check out Google Maps to get inspired. There are tons of these in this region. Having a car is what makes your trip to these remote places actually work. And if you watched part 1 of this series in Amalfi, you might remember me talking about these convex mirrors. You'll still spot them here, but you'll be a whole lot calmer using them. Now let me show you what a car unlocks when you get to this region. I'm going to show you in a second a bunch of different destinations that Ellie and I visited. But first, you'll need a car to get to this region, and we use Auto Europe for all our European travels. We like this platform because it shows you transparency across a bunch of different rental companies. And it makes it easy to choose between the category of vehicles. So let's check out those beautiful destinations I talked about. First is Alberobello. The thing to visit here are the Trulli houses. If you're more about visiting beaches and having a lounge day, you'll find many of them in an area called Baia dei Turchi. But if you find some remote beaches around, you'll find that the water is much better and overall less crowded. In our case, the parking lot was a fair distance from the beach, which meant we had to grab a 5-minute shuttle train. That dropped us off minutes away from the beach. In this region, you'll find many caves to visit. For instance, we enjoyed discovering the Grotta di Castellana. On our way to visit the beaches, Ellie and I spotted this white city from the highway called Ostuni. And while Ellie's family opted for another beach day, Ellie and I decided to go and visit that city. Lecce is also very beautiful, and it's actually coined the Florence of the South. You'll also find iconic places like Matera, and that famous James Bond bridge in Gravina in Puglia. We also checked out Bari and Bisceglie, as well as a neighboring town called Trani. These are just a few of the destinations that you can see once in Puglia. Of all the places I just listed, 95% of them were all decided by Ellie's extended family and locals in the area. First, it was a wedding that gave us a reason to keep driving south after the Amalfi Coast. And that decision ended up being the part of the trip that we talk about the most. And if you've seen some of our videos from Greece, maybe you'll find this footage a little familiar. The white hilltop towns, the olive groves as far as you can see, and that warm Adriatic light. And the reason is that the south of Puglia was literally part of ancient Greek settlements. Actually, ferries still leave from Bari and Brindisi today. Most people never make it here. They'll do Rome, maybe the Amalfi Coast, and then fly home. Puglia often gets skipped. And right now, that's the reason to go. It's still affordable, still unhurried, and it still feels discovered rather than consumed. And we're not sure how much longer that's going to last. But we're sure happy that we visited when we did. And in case you're wondering how long to stay in the Puglia region, our entire trip took 15 days. We spent 5 nights in Rome, 4 in Amalfi, and 9 in Puglia. So if you're tight on time, don't try to squeeze in Puglia just to say you went there. It really rewards slow travel. So try to give it at least 4 to 5 days. Or, if that's not possible, then save it for next time. And the secret to making it all work is renting a car. Use those Masserias as your base camp so that you can do day trips around the region. And if you like the footage from some of the destinations I mentioned earlier, and you want to dive a little bit deeper, then go ahead and check out our Italy vlogs. So after all of this said, I'm genuinely curious to know how you would get to Puglia. From Rome, would you fly, take a train, or drive like us? Let us know about it in the comment section below. If you're in the planning stage for a trip to Italy, just know that we're putting together a full 15 days Italy video. We'll talk about everything from Rome to Puglia, what we'd keep, what we'd skip, and how we'd do it differently. If you want to know more about that, be sure to subscribe and hit that bell so that you get that notification. And while you wait for our next video to come out, here are 2 recommendations that we have. If you started here and you haven't seen part 1, the Amalfi Coast driving video, that one's available to watch right now. And if Greece is also on your radar, you can also watch our full Greece road trip playlist right here. You'll find a lot of the same roads and similar feeling. You'll see what I mean. Ciao Discoverers, and we'll see you in the next one.